I know about half of my subscribers are from my H&E videos of the past, so that means you probably understand what SkidSuite 2 is. Today, I'm going to show you SkidSuite 3. So here we are on the SkidSuite 3 repository hosted on GitHub. It's quite different from SkidSuite 2, mostly because I've not written a single thing for this suite of reverse engineering tools. TLDR, this is a Java reverse engineering toolkit, and there's no download because it's just a collection of links, but they're useful links. If you do want to find mirrors of SkidSuite 2 or download the tools from the olden days, there are links to the previous SkidSuite hosted by Alrith and Firemaster K. So let's just get to it. First section is suggested tools. There are 3 sections here. First off, we're going to start with obfuscation. This pertains to deobfuscating Java applications. First off, we have the Java Deobfuscator by Samsung. Java Deobfuscator is a tool that undoes popular obfuscators such as Alatori, ClassGuard-O, Stringer, Zelix, and a few others. The name is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to describe it anymore. On the left, my other left, the right, you can see there is the links. So there are 2 for this one. There is the Deobfuscator command line interface, and then there is the GUI. If you don't know how to use a command line interface for Java applications, use a GUI. It does basically everything that the command line does. Next up is Enigma. Enigma is a user interface that lets you remap class names, field names, and method names. So you open it up, it's like a decompiler, but you can click the names and type and rename them. Next up is the decompilation section, and this is, as the name implies, a set of decompilers. So I'm going to skip the first item because the next items are, well, they're all contained in the first item. So second off, we have Procyon. You should be familiar with it if you've ever used Luton, Leuten. There's a bunch of pronunciations of it. Point is, you've probably used Procyon at some point or another. Next up is CFR. Now, CFR doesn't have a GUI program, so no one probably has used it. Fernflower, that's what Minecraft Coder Pack uses, so you've technically probably used it. And then there's Krakatoa, Python, so I doubt anyone uses this. And if you want all of them combined, you just download the first item, Helios. It's a multi-tool, and it is just a GUI for multiple decompilers. You used to be able to right-click, but now it's keybind-based. Point is, it is easy to use, and it bundles all the decompilers together in a way that makes it stupid simple to use. So, if you want to figure out what a jar file does and it's obfuscated, and let's say Procyon doesn't do the job, try CFR, try Fernflower, try Krakatoa. One of them probably works. And then, of course, note down at the bottom here, if you have a JDK installed, or Java 9, because Java 9 just makes everything the JDK, it's one download, you always have Java P. Java P is the JDK's disassembler of class files. So if in any case code just doesn't want to decompile, try Java P. Java P is also supported by Helios, so again, props to Helios for just being an all-around great tool. In this next section we have editing. This pertains to Java bytecode editing. First up, we have Recaf. So Recaf is a Java bytecode editor that supports up to Java 11. Here are some bullet point features. Not going to read them because, well, it has its own feature page, and you can check that out. Link will be in the description to this repository, which has a link to that repository. But seriously, check this out if you've used JByteEdit. It's pretty great. Next up, we have APK Studio, Reverse Engineering Toolkit for Android. I don't use Android much, but I know a lot of people do. And as far as I can tell, visually, it looks to be pretty friendly towards beginner users. It uses Smalley, which is very similar to Java bytecode, so if you've ever fiddled with Java bytecode, this should be pretty apparent on how to manipulate files. And then the next entire new section, successors to SkidSuite 2. So in this table, I just have a couple of links to the things that are above, and they are replacements to tools that I had in SkidSuite 2. So we'll start with SkidVisualizer. And just as in the previous section, I'm going to have to recommend Recaf because it's basically everything Skid Visualizer had and more. It has the decompiler, it has the search feature, which is even better. It supports regular expressions, and you can search like opcode text, so pretty neat stuff. Next up, SkidScan. So Recaf again has a plugin system, and one of the plugins that it has lets you scan for all the things that SkidScan did and then a few extra. So check that out. Next up we have Skidfuscator. This is my kind of shitty obfuscator that apparently people say was good, which is a big lie. Anyways, I'm linking to Alatori for this replacement because the demo does a pretty good job at obfuscation, but it's supported by Java Deobfuscator, so you get what you pay for, because you don't pay for anything technically, it's a demo. But next up we have Skid Hijack, and Skid Hijack was my repository group item thing for redefining Java classes on the fly using Java agents. For that, I'm going to have to recommend UDP Java. UDP Java is a joint project between me and Blue, so I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's pretty good. As it stands on the repository that's linked in the link to the right, it is set up to target against Minecraft 1.11 or 1.12. I forget which, but it should be pretty easy to find out. It's somewhere in the config files. Now, if you do have an issue using this, please open a issue in GitHub, and I'll try and fix it as soon as I can. Moving on, we have Opfu Remover. Again, Java Deobfuscator does this way better than I ever could, so go download that. And then the last two tools I don't have replacements for. So there's Mapping Utility. That would basically take a ProGuard input or any other obfuscator input, and it would undo mappings. I don't have a replacement, but there's always the mirrors at the top, so if you do need something like that for some reason, mirrors are there. Next up we have jar correlation. Again, mirrors at the top. No replacement yet, but I was working on something like this a while ago. If I can find it on my laptop, I will update the repository with a link to that project. Last section, we have other links. Other links are just a collection of links that I find pretty useful, so we'll get right to it. First one is crackmaze.1. Just a set of programs that you just need to crack. So you take an example for a jar file, and the challenge is to generate a valid license. Now, it's usually a bit of work figuring out the algorithm to generate the license, but using the tools above, it's a fun challenge, and it will teach you a bit about reverse engineering. And if you're not a Java fan, I don't know why you're watching this video, but the website also has different languages for other crackmes, so check those out if you want to expand your horizons. Next link, we have JVM 101, Intro to Java Bytecode and how the JVM works. Definitely recommend this if you're going to get into the realm of bytecode editing and injection clients. And if you do get into those, I would suggest you use ObjectWebASM. That is our next item. It is my go-to library for manipulating Java bytecode. It's pretty much bug-free, well-designed, fast, easy to use, has good documentation. Go use it. Next up we have Alatori 3 decompiled. This is an interesting peek in how Java deobfuscation works behind the scenes. This is, of course, an older version of Alatori that someone has decompiled and deobfuscated, and I recommend you check it out if you want to know how obfuscation works. Next up we have JetBrains blog by Trisha Gree, or Trisha Gee. There's a typo, one of these is wrong, I don't know which. Point is, she has an excellent series on Java Annotated Monthly. It's a summary of interesting Java news every month. Recommend checking it out if you enjoy Java. And there's sometimes some Kotlin news in there, I think. So even if you're not a Java fanboy per se, but a fan of just the Java platforms like the JVM, check it out. She also has some other good articles, but this is the one I pay attention to most. And then last but not least, we have the OpenJDK mirror. This is a mirror of the Java source code. Not the JVM source code, but, the classes in the JVM. So that completes our walkthrough of SkidSuite 3, a collection of useful Java reverse engineering links. I hope you find some of the resources useful, and till next time, goodbye.